things to tell you, like when I removed the arms, you know, I had this really ugly UV kind of mess, like holes. So just kind of cleaning up the unwrap, because I just did a fill. You know, I just deleted the mesh on the arms and then filled the holes, and then I could kind of clean up that UV wrap. Just was really easy to do, just uh, so that has a maybe more appealing appearance, because it does. This look is still a little unusual. I think it's good if I had some sort of shirt or attire that would kind of go with where the arms are missing, so that it doesn't look like my arms are just kind of chopped off, you know. All right, what could I do? I could show you what I did in Blender. I could share my screen and you could see that, or I could just, I don't know if I gave a good enough explanation there. Would you like to see that?
Yeah,
So let me
it
open.
will be great to see.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
let's
would.
go open up Blender here, and hopefully you're all able to see that. Okay, and let me switch around and see what we're doing here. Okay, all right, Mike failed, but he's here with us, hopefully. So bear with me
Sage,
for a
could we
second.
possibly make the screen just a bit bigger?
I can, you bet. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
And is that how's that? Is that better?
That's good for me.
Okay. And by the way, anybody, you can right click on my screen to see it yourself full screen.
You can also hover over it with your mouse and hit the F for focus, and it will make it full screen.
And then you can use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out on it once you're doing that. So that I love doing that too. But you're right. It's kind of nice to have a little bit bigger here in this world. So all right, here we are in Blender, and what I'm going to do is, just so you can see my workflow here. I've got my avatars organized in a folder called avatars, and here's my Ready Player Me avatar. And let's just go by name. I'm going to come down here to the last one, which was probably 12. And I'm going to open it. Okay. Oh yeah. Sorry, you guys. I just put a boombox on my shoulder. Um, and by the way, just so you can see that in hubs here, which is kind of fun, just for a really quick fun thing. Here I am with my my boombox on my shoulder. Okay, let me stop doing that, and let's go back to what we were just talking about.
Oh yeah.
I don't even need an owl. Let's just go to. All right, here is here's my avatar, and if you just kind of ignore the owl and the boombox for a minute, then here is the avatar mesh, right? And then let's see. Probably better if I go to modeling and show this to you here. And if I were to turn off the boombox, just kind of hide that for a minute. And then if I were to also show you, you can see the armature here, the bones. So then if I were to go in here and select all, I think what I want to do is show you the weighting over here in Blender. So down here on this key, by the way, I have a program where you can follow my cursor. Okay, so this key right here is where we're going to go. This is where we can see the vertex groups that have been assigned, right? So the way I did this originally was I'd select the model, just the mesh, once I had it all ready to go. And then to the rigging process, as everybody might know, is that you'd select the mesh and then you'd select the armature, and then you do this parenting where you parent it with empty groups. And what that does is it takes the armature that already had the groups from hubs, because by the way, I'm using the avatar from the base hubs. And if I, hubs avatar. That you can get the base hubs avatar off GitHub. And if I showed you what that looked like really quick, it's this website right here. So this is the base hubs. If you haven't been here, you can download the base model. So here's the Blender and then the avatar bot. And here is the export. I use this one right here. So this bot
Sage?
is, yeah,
Can you just drop that URL into the office hours underneath this thread?
I'll do that. So, and so I should start a thread. You said under office hours.
We'll just continue on the thread of office hours, basically underneath where you posted this. So it'll just, anyone who goes to office hours will see all these links.
Oops. So there's like a create thread, right? If I do the create thread option and do that. So
that is sexy.
Here is the default model, right? Model for that you can download. And just put that in there and put spellings and everything, right? But there's the thread we got started. Thank you, Brendan. That's great. So anyway, I'm just kind of backing up for a minute. I had planned to do a demo for another group on how to do rigging with a Ready Player Me avatar. And I was going to start from like soup to nuts so that like, here's what you need to do. Go here first, download this model. Now go create your Ready Player Me avatar on the Ready Player Me website and download the GLB file. Now go into Blender and strip out the mesh. Just take the mesh, and what I do next is I unparent it from the Ready Player Me avatar. I unrig it, I unparent it. I only need the mesh, and then I take the mesh and then I re-rig it, reparent it to the hubs avatar. And the hubs avatar is a really basic. I think can I zoom in here on this? Let's see. Well, it has a there is a way to do that. Is it shift? Can't remember how to zoom in on Blender here, but it has a really basic bone structure here. You can ignore the owl. It just has a hips, a spine, a neck, a head, a right and a left eye, and a right hand and a left hand with fingers. So the bone avatar structure for hubs is really pretty simple. And what you'd be looking to do is to take this model right here, and when you're in edit mode, is it edit mode? I don't remember if it's yeah, you could just do it in edit mode. Now I've already decimated this mesh, just so you know. I really decimated it. This is a really ugly looking mesh because I've kind of decimated it to reduce the polygons. The original mesh, looked much cleaner, so it was a little easier to select. Probably need to go back to an earlier version of this project to show you what that looked like. Let's just see if I could go back to an earlier version.
Sage, sorry to interrupt, but did you say you were making a tutorial for a different group on the same process?
Yeah, this was a group of educators.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to take up all the time because I see there's also other people here. So I'm wondering if you are making a tutorial already, maybe would you feel comfortable sharing that also with the onboard group? And then we could go through that sequence.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's starting to make a lot of sense that there's multiple audiences, and a recorded tutorial would be really come in handy on that, because I kind of think that I could do that process in about 15 minutes.
Amazing.
And try to just go right to it. My experience learning it has been through more long drawn out tutorials on YouTube, and those are great too, but just getting right to it, taking the Ready Player Me model, stripping it down to what works as a half body and hubs, and re-rigging it.
Yeah.
And
I think that would be a really helpful resource, especially for performers without a lot of Blender experience.
Okay, that's good to know. So I'll plan on that. And then I'm just trying to give you a glance at what I've done. I think if I go a little bit further down here, just kind of skipping through here's project. So let's see what this one looks like. Is this decimated already? There you go. This is not decimated yet, right? So here you can see that I've got the neck selected. So there's the neck that I've selected. And the way I select this mesh is I select the model, I hit tab, and then I go into this edit mode, as everybody knows, and you got all the verts. And so if you select all the verts, then here's what it looks like, and here's wireframe mode. And so if I were to come in here and just kind of deselect something and use the lasso tool and just select a little bit of the neck, then I can do like Control plus and minus on the keypad. That's really handy. But you also, like, this is super handy. So if you select part of the mesh and you do a Control-L, that will select the entire object. Now, this head in the document viewer is a separate object here, this mesh. So let's see if I got my edit mode. Let's go here. Actually, no, it's already joined together. Okay, but it finds these where the vertices are linked together or grouped together. So this was all one object at one point earlier. I've kind of joined, in my workflow, when I'm doing this, I will eventually join the mesh as one mesh usually, and then rig it or attach it to the avatar bones. But for now, just so you can see the process, here I would select the head or maybe just the neck. And you can see this is a tedious process, right? When you're trying to select just portions of it. So if I do that, that's too much. But I've already done this, so I can show you that when I go in here to the inspector on the, and I select the vertice groups here, and I know this is really small for you maybe when you're looking at this, but I can select the neck here, and there is an assign button, just like when you're doing texturing. If you're going to select faces and assign, your texture, you do the same here with your weighting or your parenting. So you would have the neck selected, then you would come here and click assign. Now, since I've already done that, I can deselect, and to show you, click this select button right here, and it shows what I've selected for the neck. And if I deselect and select head, here's what I've got for the head. And notice, like, I have a little bit of mistake there too. Like I grabbed a little bit too much on the neck on that. So I could, to fix that, what I could do is come in here and just grab just those and click the remove here, and it would remove them from it. When you're working in here, this is just kind of a process that you go through when you're working in here. So you might come in here and select just those. You might have a different way of grabbing those and hit remove from the head. Well, first the workflow is
why do you
the
select?
workflow is to target the vertices. So first select them
Sorry
in
for the
edit
silly
mode,
question, Sage.
and then assign them correctly. And then once you're done assigning, you can use the select deselect to proof what you've done. Make sure that you've got the right thing. So for example, let's select the neck here, and then I don't have anything selected, so I can click the select button and it will select what I've assigned. And so that is kind of the workflow process, but it also hopefully explains to you what's happening here is that we're taking the mesh in edit mode, selecting the verts, just parts of the verts, and assigning them appropriately to the portion of the armature here. These are the vertice groups that we parented originally from the armature. And so to show you now how that works, let me go here to modeling. Now, if I switch over here to pose mode instead of edit mode, if I go to first of all, let's see, if I select the armature, I select the bones, and then I can go to pose mode. Now in pose mode, you can see when I select one of these bones, I believe this is the head. Yep, there's the head bone right there. So if I rotate this, for example, you can see how it's connected, right? And how the mesh is also connected to it. So if I select the head and the neck and rotate, you can kind of see that rotation that's happening there. and I'm over rotating too, by the way, but if I were in hubs, if I were to look, if you look at me in hubs, if I look straight down at the ground, you can see how it gets kind of ugly. The joint will get ugly. Oops, let's see. I think I can replicate this in both places. So, but you get the idea is that if I rotate this too far, then you can see how it kind of stretches my neck. But my neck is tucked in under my collar or under my shirt here, so it kind of hides it a little bit. Anyway, that's just what I've done to rig a Ready Player Me avatar. I went in and removed portions of the arms because, as you can see in this example, I've actually kept the part of the arm so that if I'm going to use a headset, then my hands will show. But if I'm just on a computer, then you're only going to see the torso. And so how am I doing so far? Is that giving you guys some good information and good use of your time? Do you guys have specific questions or issues or things that you're working on? How about
yeah, it's for me, I feel that it gives a bit of hope. It's Nelly speaking.
Yeah, I do want to.
That it means that, I mean, I'm not. I still need to go into the blender
and then I'm sure all of you might have been out to Ready Player Me.
It seems like it's possible to have some kind of movement.
I mean, this could be a starting point for creating your avatar. So, like, for example, let's say I was to create a female avatar here, and I'll just go without a photo and just choose a starting point here. And I'm just kind of randomly picking one. You might already know as well that you've got this really great avatar creator system that allows you to really customize the look. Really, you're going to be focusing on your upper body anyway, because when you save this, you have a choice to save it as a 4 hubs, so it works as a half body. So let's say, for example, just if you weren't familiar with this, and I won't take much time because most of you probably are, but maybe want to try and change the eyes, for example, right? And it's just got green cat eyes. And then add some, different attire, like maybe a hood or something like that. Anyway, so, and then if I wanted to take this and enter the hub, then I'll be able to take this avatar and use it either right within hubs, or I can take it into Blender and further customize it. One of the things that we don't like with hubs, I think, is that hubs creates this different looking avatar. It's just the bust. You might have seen that earlier when I was showing you an earlier version of this. So this is what you would get if you just did the half body. And you know, it's kind of like, Greek or Romanesque type of feeling for me, seeing a bust like that, but doesn't really, I don't really want to embody that. I want more of a body structure. So that's why I ended up, taking a full body version. So when I go to claim my avatar here, there is an option here. I don't have to claim it. I don't have to create an account. It's hidden. It's right here. I'll zoom in on that. You can see that though, but so click on that, and here's where you can either download this GLB file or copy the avatar link. So if I download this GLB, this will be the full body version of it. To get it as a bust, I can come over here and choose like, well, what am I going to use it with? And I think Hubs is listed here. Wow, it's not, you have to look for it, I guess. I thought Hubs was listed here somewhere. That helps you to, I don't know if it's alphabetical.
I thought I saw it a little bit up,
Oh,
close
there it
to the
is.
top. Yeah.
It's Mozilla. It's under M. It's not alphabetical. It's business and productivity, and maybe it was at the top as well. But if you choose View App here, then here's where you can connect your avatar. And I'm also wondering too, like, if you create an account, then you would be able to save this in your what's called your hub in Ready Player Me. So I'm not even signed in actually. If I were to sign in here, um, and I think I can sign in. I think this is, yeah, I could sign in with, looks like usually it uses a cookie to remember your sign in, but I could sign in again to get back to my Ready Player Me. So in any case, you will be able to create these up here, but you get these GLB files that you can take into Blender. So if I were to go to Blender here and just to give you an impression of what you might do, I'll create a new blank project in Blender. And there's our good old cube. We'll delete the cube. And then I'm going to choose File, Import, GLB or GLTF, and choose that file from my computer that I just downloaded. So it's going to be right here. I think this is the one. Let me make sure date modified. Here it is. So if I bring this GLTF in, there is the model that we just created in Ready Player Me. And I can further edit this model, select the model, and you can see that this is in nice parts over here. Ready Player Me models are really highly well designed and organized. So you can see there's going to be a body, a headwear. I can take the headwear off, or just turn it off. There's the outfit. So some of these things I could just kind of turn off here, right? But I might need to keep like the outfit top, outfit bottom, not the bottom, but I guess it's called top. And that might be pretty cool just by itself. I mean, you're going to have an empty cavity here that you might need to fill. If you wanted to keep the jacket still, that's kind of neat. I like that idea of just like a floating jacket. Again, you're not going to use the bones in here. You're just going to take this mesh. So maybe you're going to take that part of it for now, and you would unparent it. So to unparent it, you would go to the object pull down menu, and there's a parent, and there's a clear parent, or clear and keep the transform. So you clear it now. It's not part of the armature anymore. And say, oops, I didn't grab it all. Might want to get those wrists. But that's okay. So now that I got this mesh, I could save this as a new Blender file and just delete the armature altogether. Delete the hierarchy. So there, now I've got just this mesh, and I would then take that well, let's see. Just to give you a quick eye, I'm just going to save this so you get a quick idea. This is not a full tutorial, but this is a run through. So let's just call this RPM today. This is RPM demo, and just put it in there. So I'm saving this as RPM demo in a folder where I've been working. And now I'm going to open up a new project. I'm going to go over to that Hub's default bot that is the one I told you about on GitHub, and I'll open that up, and here's what it looks like. There's the default bot there, and what I can do is, first of all, I can come in here and I can append, and that's like import, but append is different. Append is interesting because append allows you to bring in other Blender files. So I can go to that avatar project in Ready Player Me. Here's the RPM demo that we were just working on. And I'm going to say append object here and just grab those two things, the head and the top. And now I brought in that mesh, right? So there it is. And the next part I would go about doing here is selecting that mesh. Make sure I get just that mesh. Going into edit mode and realigning it. And sorry, I could make this bigger for you in the layout mode, right? So again, just kind of realigning that and making sure that it's lined up right. And then once I've got that lined up right, that's not really lined up. Let's do that real quick here. Click on that lined up right, then I can just rig it and remove or turn off the robot avatar. So And then another thing you should know too is they hide, the default one has the armature turned off. So you need to turn that on here to see it or find it. And then that's how I'd go about rigging this next, selecting that armature, selecting the mesh and then selecting the armature. And then there is a workflow process to this where a tutorial is really helpful because you have to do it in that order. Select the mesh, select the bones, then choose parent, then choose empty groups. And then what happens is your mesh, when you select it under the vertices, you see now I've got all these vertice groups and I'm ready to like parent these to these groups. So I'd select the head, select all those verts, and maybe if I just were to quickly select the head here, right? There's head, click assign. Now it's assigned. How do I know? Because I can deselect and hit select, and now it's assigned. Okay. And then I go through and select the top. Now this one, I'm just going to do this really down and dirty. I'm going to select the whole mesh, come up here to spine, because it might look like a long list, but most of these are fingers, you guys. It's just, you don't have to even do the hands and fingers. You could ignore them. You really just like hip, spine, neck, head. If you're just doing it really simple. So let's put this to the spine and assign it. But now that it's assigned and selected, check this out. Keep it selected, right? And then line it up here. And then using your certain keys to deselect, right? You can use the draw box. Maybe I'm going to select like that part of it right there and deselect. Use the X-ray mode to make sure that you get it all actually deselect. So I'm deselecting part of that. And then I can come in here and maybe it's a little easier to deselect that, right? Deselect, deselect. And what I'm doing next is that I could, with it still selected to the spine, I'm going to say remove it now. This bottom part remove, but assign it to the hips. Assign it to the hips. Now I've done kind of a all-in-one process where I selected it all, I assigned it to the spine, and then I carefully, selectively deselected half of it, and then I reversed it so that I could assign that to the hips. And how do I know? Select hips, select the select button. There's what I got with hips. Okay, so I got too much. So that's okay because what I can do here is just be kind of grab part of this, grab part of that, grab part of that, and then see if I can just ungrab part of that. And I'm going to hit the remove button. I'm trying to clean this up, right? So what did I get now? Let's see. Select the hips. All right, perfect. So that's kind of really giving you an idea of the workflow. And now that we've done this, if we were to just kind of take this really to the end, we've rigged this. This model is now rigged to this armature and ready to bring into hubs. All I have to do is say export, file, export, GLTF, GLB. It'll be a GLB. You can look at your export settings here. Like I'm going to say visible. Like I only want to export what's visible. I got some things turned off. And then I'll just hit export. And then over here in hubs, so let's see, in hubs, and I think I could do this. This is you guys. Hey, you're looking at yourself on the screen, you guys. All right, and then I'm going to come in here. I'm going to change this avatar. I'm going to change it. I'm going to create under my avatars a new avatar. I'm going to give it a name RPM demo, and I'm going to choose custom avatar, custom GLB, and that was under avatars, Ready Player Me. And I think that's where I saved it. Where did I save that avatar? Let me go back to Blender. Where did I save that thing at? I saved it in the hubs folder. That's what I did. I was still working on my default one. I got to be careful about that, right? Let me go to my avatars, save it in the right place. Ready Player Me. I'll just call this one RPM demo again. RPM demo. Save. And export it. Now, so just everybody catch up real quick. I saved my Blender project because I was working off the default hubs one, and then I'm going to export it one more time, put it in the right place. Avatar, Ready Player Me. I would have thought I would have remembered that too. RPM demo, save it, and then now I should have, let's go back into their date modified. Where are you? Projects, Avatar, Ready Player Me. I guess that's what I did. There it is. Okay, anyway, sorry about that. It was a little disorganized. There it is. It's, not really ready to go yet, but I'll click save because I will be able to now use this, except my avatar. So let's see, what do I look like here, everybody? You can see
Whoa,
my
you got some
avatar.
crazy.
My hands are stuck. I didn't. What's happening is that there's some verts that didn't get parented. I have to go back and grab, like, there's some very small verts on my hands that didn't get parented. And so when you see it stretch like that, it's because it's like it's stuck. It's kind of a cool effect, though, isn't it? So if you see that happen, then what you do is you go back to Blender here, and you're going to select all. Let's see, select all. So what it's probably happening is actually deselect. That's everything. That's both objects. If I deselect those and I go through and say, well, okay, what's the hips? What do I get for the hips? Select. Oh, we didn't do. Did we do hips? I thought we did the hips. Select. We did. How about the spine? Select. What do we do for spine? Select. Maybe we missed them. That's what we did, is we missed some. So what I'll do is I'll use the X-ray and just go back and select all on those hands, right? Make sure I get all the verts. Get them all. And come back in here. And I think we just did down and dirty. We assigned them to the spine. So I'll do that again. So that should clean it up. Oh, actually, that didn't do what I wanted. Undo here. No, they are assigned to something else. Let's see. So what do we have? Hips, spine, head. Okay, well, you guys, I would go through this more tedious process to make sure I've selected this right, but you're hopefully seeing the workflow. I don't want to spend time cleaning up a really quick demo, but hopefully these errors are helping you to see how I go through and troubleshoot. If I do miss any verts, they would be stuck in space, and you got to make sure they're. There's also in the hub's avatar, there's some components that are happening here that are already applied to it. So if you select the armature here, and if you go into pose mode, that's how you can select individual bones. And if you select the head bone, you can come down here to the head bone and see this head bone. And there are some properties on here under hubs. This is called it's under avatar. It's called scale audio feedback. And so it's applied to the head bone so that it takes the audio and it scales the head bone according to your audio. And you can set a value there. The default is 1 to 1.5. So if I wanted to like really scale bigger, I could go more of a range. And then that is a little bit more to tell you about. There is something important to bring up as well, because if you want this to work in Blender, you should also be working with the Hubs Blender exporter. And I'm going to be dropping that into the link into the Office Hours Discord thread as well. But this is the Hubs Blender exporter. I'm going to show that to you as well. It's an add-on for Blender. So you need to, if you're not using this, this is the Hubs Blender exporter GitHub site, and you can go here and download this. It's very easy to install in Blender. If you've never installed add-ons. But once you install it, you do need to check the box to activate it. But what this does is it allows Blender to be able to read these. Well, it provides this additional support to get to these hubs components that you're seeing here. They're built in. These are the same components that you see in Spoke, right? So lights, waypoints, spawns, images, audio, billboard, text. They're not. Almost all of the Spoke components are here also in this Blender exporter. And you do need to know how to use them. So like, for example, there are some that are only for avatars. So the scale audio feedback really should be applied to a bone, whereas the morph audio feedback would be applied to the mesh. And using shape keys for animating mesh is another way of animating avatars. And so just a quick explanation too, and that might be like too basic for some folks, so I don't want to spend too much more time on that. But the link for that, if I go back to that, I'll pop that in the thread as well. And so you would download this Hub Blender exporter, install it in Blender as an add-on, and then that means that these things will work, and you'll be able to have your head animate with your avatar, have it scale. I was working with the shape keys, and when you look at my final version here, actually I created some animation to my eyes. You can see here, like there's an idle animation that comes on with the hubs, with the hubs avatar, so you can use that idle animation for the eyes if you reconnect it with your Ready Player Me avatar. But also there's morph animation effects too that you can use. So I probably should pause for a minute though and kind of read the room, see how people are doing, and come back to here. I got too many things open. There we go. All right, so let me change my stretchy avatars. Oh, get out of here. Come back to my. If you guys come up close to my avatar, you can kind of see in hubs how I've got like some idle animations with my eyes. They blink every once in a while. At least I think they should. Is this one?
Staring intently, waiting.
I think this is one that blinks.
I can see the wobble, but I can't see any blinking yet.
Yeah, let me see. I've got so many here. Let me change it to one further back. I think this is the one, actually, you guys. This is the one. There you go. This one blinks, and the brows move a little bit. What I liked about this was that it gives that little bit of subtle personality. You know, it gives a little bit of motion, or makes the avatar feel a little bit more alive with those idle animations.
Liveness.
And Sage, for the mouth movement, did you just, instead of attaching it to the whole head, did you just attach it to, I guess, how do you attach those audio animations to specific elements?
Yeah, so if I showed you the mouth, the way that works is if you look at the mesh right here, hopefully, let's go to modeling. Let's go back a couple, and I'll show you what that looks like. My cat's trying to bust in the room here. I think that's one I can show you. So what's great about Ready Player Me avatars is that they come with these shape key animations already pre-built, and you can take advantage of them. If you you don't have to do this, it's already done for you. You just have to connect them with the hub's exporter component. So the way that works is you select the mesh, and then you come over here under the object data properties. So we were talking about vertex groups earlier, but down here are shape keys, right? So you expand and see all of these shape keys are already come with this Ready Player Me avatar. And there is quite a few, but there's one called mouth open, and that's really the one that you're looking for. And so if you look for mouth open, and actually it might be at the top, mouth open, it's like the second one. So the way this works is it always starts with the basis key, and that means what does the mesh start with, and then how do you tweak it after that? So you can create a base key, and then create another key, call it what you want, and start tweaking your mesh, right? And so once you have, like, here's mouth open. So with mouth open, I can come here and show you how this works. I'll scroll further down. Here's the value of this shape key. So if I go into edit mode, the mouth has been opened up. If I go into object mode, it's closed. And if I change the value of it, there is the mouth open animation, right? So it's a 0 to 1 value right now from a range of 0 to 1. So if I wanted to change that, I think I could change it 0 to 3. See what happens now. 0 to 3 is wow. So you can tweak with that if your mouth is not getting quite the mouth open movement that you're looking for. And then the important thing to note here is that mouth open is what you're going to use to that label, that key name. You're going to copy that, and it is case sensitive. And then you're going to come over here and you're going to select the mesh, and you're going to select the properties, object properties, and that's where you always will find, when you're dealing with mesh, that's where you're always going to find the add component under hubs. And right now it already has it. It's morph audio feedback and mouth open, spelled correctly, case sensitive, added. Again, there's a range here you can play with. So if you just had a 0 to 1 range back at, when using the shape key, and then you could increase this value here too. These both work a little bit together but independently. I kind of think of this as like an overall effect, whereas the other one is more precise in terms of like the amount of action you're getting with editing that. So usually you don't have to tweak those values too much. The way this works is you would come in here, click the add component, select morph audio feedback under avatar, and then you would type in mouth open just like it was labeled, and you could just go 0 to 1. I think I had 0 to 2 here. And then that's what's going to connect your audio from your microphone to driving the animation of that shape key. So now that you know that, you realize, well, I could actually drive animations for all kinds of things. It doesn't have to be a mouth open. But when it comes to what Hubs is offering, that's based off of audio, right? It's called morph audio. You can use shape keys for animation separately from audio. So there's really, that's also another popular way of animating mesh, either through bones and armatures or through shape keys in Blender. Hey, does that answer your question, or hopefully gets to that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to take up too much time, but I have so many questions just about shape keys and what if there are any other audio reactive kind of because in the code base I've seen that morph audio feedback function, but seeing here kind of where it's actually connected to the avatar is exciting.
Yeah. So I was playing around with it just conceptually, and what I wanted to do was create. I wanted to create an earthquake. I've told Brendan about this. Wanted to create an earthquake, and I thought, like, well, how can I vibrate the earth based off my voice? It's actually, I wanted to, like, have like the kind of God's voice shakes the earth type of thing. And what I did was, it was really unconventional. But you see this crater that we're standing in right now? Well, I downloaded it out of Hubs as a GLB, so it's just an object, it's just a model of this crater, and then I rigged it to an avatar, and then I think he used the scale audio feedback, so I was able to do it. So I can change my avatar. I have one. I wouldn't do it because it really is not an effect that's pleasing for other people.
Do it.
Let me see what happens. Okay, so let me change my avatar. This is one. Okay, it's called. Yeah, there it is, crater. Okay. Okay, hey, how you doing there? How's it going?
Oh my God.
Hey.
That's
and I can
incredible.
rotate and turn it, and It's just like, and if you guys ready, it'll make you sit, go, oh, and then if we didn't have the other crater, right? Can I fly up? Fly down a little bit. I don't know. Is that moving for you?
Yeah, it's great. If you wanted to swap the room or scene, we would then be able to just see your crater.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a empty scene set up ready to go. But
what
I don't want to distract you too much either.
With the shape keys, with the point B shape key.
Let's see. Let me go back here and switch my app back and get things back to normal. Sorry, what was your question?
Sage, did you just change the scale of the overall crater, or did you have a more nuanced point B on your shape key?
Oh, in that case, I cheated it, and I only used the scale audio feedback component, and I didn't use a shape key. I just used the scale audio feedback, and all that does is just like your head shakes it, or scales it up and down through a range. The scale audio feedback is a really much easier way to get that type of effect, because you don't have to create shape keys and you don't have to modify the mesh to get the effect. But it's also not, it's more limiting. You can't do as much with it. All you can do is like scale. So yeah, so here's an example. I was working with a heart, and if I change I was working with Brendan on something here, and so anyway, Brendan, this is okay. This is just a heart that was created, and you can see like it's got scale audio feedback to it, and it could have a morph audio feedback, and if I did morph, then it would do more than just scale, right? Could be like change in different shapes. And of course, I could drive the animation of the heart itself is just driven by shape keys, but they're just animation tracks. They're not driven by voice, but that could be done. And so yeah, using voice to drive animation is really limited to either scale or morphing, and morphing has more workflow to it.
And regardless, I used in the code base the audio feedback file to just pull out an amplitude for a simple amplitude for the user input. Do you know, does it do any other kind of, I guess morph is still using just the amplitude of it, right?
Yeah, it's just amplitude, but one of the yeah. So I'm not sure like what you're after, but I was playing around with how to bake sound waves to animation in Blender, and then using that, you can then you could then use a wave form, an audio file, music or voice file to drive the scale of an animation. So what I was interested in doing, for example, is creating a non-player character that might greet you in hubs and say, "Hi, welcome to this room. Please come on in," and that it would just animate based off my voice. And so I was successful doing that. Figured out a workflow of using bake sound F curve and then baking the animation, and then as you've seen now, animations in hubs, or as you might know, can be shape keys or NLA tracks, or just keyframes. Really, they're all keyframes, I guess, eventually. So you create them either with animating pose modes with armatures, or you can animate the mesh with shape keys. You can also animate transforms, as you know, too, just simply keyframing scale and rotation and that sort of thing. And then all of those animations need to be labeled and pushed down, or what's called punch down in Blender. I'm just telling you about it, but if I showed you, if you were in the animation mode here, in the NLA track, you want to make sure that all these animations are punched down. So for example, if I were to take this and animate it real quick and just like create a keyframe for location, and then another keyframe, maybe move it up a little bit here, another keyframe location. Now I've got an animation that I've started to create that needs to be punched down and labeled properly. Once the animation is labeled properly and punched down, you then need to apply the hubs component for the animation under animation and use that label that you created. And that's basically your quick workflow for, and that was a really quick explanation of how you need to set up and organize your animations in Blender. But you can have just tons of animation tracks. So if you looked at that port of registry scene that I've been working on here in Blender, you can see all the animations that I've been working in here. And you can expand and collapse these, as you might know. Then, yeah, each one of these is a different animation. So I don't have too many going on in here, but if you look at the scene, let's just show you all that. I'll just show you a quick loop of this. I've just was adding a really fun UFO. And of course, you can't see all these animations, but you really can see it is when you bring it into one of the 3D viewers I use for when I'm working in Blender. I don't always want to bring it into hubs yet. I might want to just drag it into like this GLTF viewer from Don McCurdy that maybe you guys know about or don't know about. But you can take that file that you're working on, like with this one here, with the onboard and port of registry, and I'll just drop this GLB file. Where's it here? Date modified. Yeah, this GLB. So here's this one right here. I'll just drop.
Sage, are you still there? Is Sage gone for everyone else?